can't tell y'all? You tuning into the best morning show on the globe. It's Bradham and Emery in the morning, y'all.
Lebron or Jordan, either one when I'm performing. Crossover, buzzer beater and I'm scoring. Bradham and Emery in the morning. Every play they on it. Every day I'm balling. Who's the coach? Who's the GOAT? Like Brady and Belichick, best show on the globe. And they embellish it. Y'all pin Ziffy, I'm Ken Griffey or maybe Mahomes. I stay in the zone, whether man to man or play in the zone. They can't stop me. Mayweather boxing, Curry with the shot, man. We just the best to be. Can we have our SB, please? This was meant to be. Every morning with Bradham and Emery.
Yes, sir. You know the vibes. Saturday morning, 9 a.m. You know what that means? It's Bradham Emery in the morning, baby. Marcus Bradham, Justin Emery.
Good morning, sports fans. Thank you for tuning in to another great episode of Bradham and Emery in the morning. Did you know that on this day, 89 years ago in 1931, it's the day that Al Pacino got sentenced to prison?
I did not know that.
Yes. For only 11 years, believe it or not, for everything he did.
Wow. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so listen, like most people, what is the first thing you do in the morning? The first thing you usually do in the morning, you go to the bathroom. 1A, you look at your phone to see what's going on out there in the world.
Yes.
So that's always been a kind of tradition with me, looking to see what's happening. You want to see if you missed anything when you were sleeping. And usually
scroll the timeline.
Exactly. Scroll the timeline, see what's going on. And usually you come across some wild things first thing in the morning. So last weekend, I think it was last weekend, or maybe, I don't know, Friday or Saturday. It doesn't matter. Days doesn't matter. Came across a video from TMZ of a guy walking a trail nearly getting attacked by cougars. This is becoming a problem. And my thing is this: why now in 2020 would you ever go near a trail? I am, especially out in those areas, I am not stepping foot near any kind of trail. And the guy, to the guy's credit, he backed the cougar off. And he was yelling, he was getting big, all the things I told you. Like, here's the thing with me. If this happens to me, I'm gonna die. Because I'm going to panic. Like, I'm a panicker. In that situation, I know good and well I'm not surviving that. Because I'm going to do everything wrong. I'm going to start running. I'm going to cry. I might wet myself. All those things are going to take place. This guy was composed. It was really, he did a really good job. It was like, if you want to see a tutorial of how to avoid these things and make sure they don't attack or try to attack, this is how it happens. But for me, I'm just going to die. Goodbye.
So he was in a trail out in Utah, outside of Salt Lake City somewhere.
Yeah.
So while I have never personally been to Salt Lake City, I have been to very remote parts in the state of Utah.
Yeah.
That is not uncommon to encounter animals like that out in those trails. Now, I've never encountered a mountain lion. I've never encountered a mountain lion, but I've run into, coyotes, fox, snakes, scorpions. Let's see. Trying to think. This wasn't on a trail, but
these are just in commonplace.
Yeah, this is just like just walking on these trails.
No.
So, the biggest issue that I have isn't even all those, because I'm never on these trails by myself. If I'm on these trails, I have my dog with me.
Yeah.
And animals are not as likely to approach you if you have a 70-pound pit bull next to you.
See, I don't have that.
See, yeah, but that's why you wouldn't be at these trails, though. Like, nobody takes these trails with their right mind unless they have pets.
Oh, there's people doing that though.
Those are the people that I don't support, though.
I don't support them either.
Yeah.
And listen, I want to get into this. I want to see if you support this theory I have. See, the animals are trying to tell us something, and we're not listening. But I think I understand why we're not listening. Going back to your childhood, subconsciously, we have been programmed to think that exotic animals are our friends. We have grown up with Tony the Tiger, Smokey the Bear, And all these other we thought koala bears were cute and cuddly up until we now know differently. All these exotic animals that when we were younger were supported by us and by our parents, saying, "Hey, look at that giant birds in Sesame Street." You know what I mean? So we don't understand that these animals really want to kill us. They don't like us. They don't like us.
I fully support exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of domesticated animals. Wild animals, exotic animals, I don't want anything to do with them.
I'm out.
There's a overlook in Utah called Ghost Rock, and you can pull over a scenic overlook and look down. Mm-hmm. So I pulled over at it one time because I had never been to the Grand Canyon, but I imagine that this is kind of what the Grand Canyon would look like, just on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
So I go over to the ledge, and I look down, and I don't know what I saw, but there was movement down there, and it wasn't human. I was like, you know what? I'm getting back in the car.
As you should.
Yeah.
As you should. But that was a very intelligent decision by you. And I wish more people shared your sentiment of I need to get back in the car.
Well, another part is I was driving from Vegas to Denver, and on I-70 through Utah, there's nothing.
Yeah.
And I don't mean, like, you can't really grasp how much nothing there is until you actually go there.
Yeah.
Like, I can tell you, in the middle of nowhere, but there's nothing, like, you can really grasp it until you're driving, you see a sign that says, next exit, 110 miles.
No. See, I don't want to be any parts of places like this.
Like, you hit the scan on your radio.
This is like horror movie stuff.
You hit the scan on your radio, and it goes through the whole dial because there's nothing to listen to.
No. I don't need to be out there.
I really had to go to the bathroom, and I'm not worried about finding a rest stop in that area.
Yeah.
Because there is none.
Right.
So I pull over, I go to the bathroom, let my dog out of the car. I'm like, yo, I'm sure you got to go to the bathroom too. Note, the whole time that both of us are using the bathroom, not one car passes us going either direction. That's how desolate this road is. And it's a highway.
Wow.
So I'm looking, I look up and I just look out into the landscape.
Yeah.
And I see there's maybe like half a dozen, 7, 8, 9 buffalo just out in the distance.
Just chilling.
Yeah, just sitting there, maybe like 200 yards out, 250 yards out.
No, thank you.
And I didn't realize it when I had first stopped.
Right.
And I look and I'm like, man, this is a really weird place to have a ranch. Like, you're so far away. You're dozens and dozens and dozens of miles away.
Yeah.
And then I look. There's no fence.
Oh my gosh. I mean, this sounds about white.
Yes. Yeah. And I just looked at the dog and I was like, back in the car.
Yeah, I'm
back
out.
in the car.
Back in the car. That's your answer. I'm getting back in the car.
Back in, I want to say it was June. There was a fire in Mount Charleston out in Vegas.
Uh-huh.
And it's not very common to get wildfires in the desert because what are you going to light on fire?
Right.
Well, maybe like the 2 to 3 weeks following that fire, they were finding mountain lions, coyotes, all sorts of these crazy animals that were up in the mountains that got forced out from the fire, just all over random parts of Vegas. So imagine just like you hit it big on the strip, you're on your way to like a nice steakhouse, and all of a sudden there's a mountain lion just chilling on the side of the road.
Listen, I just want to speak to my white brother and sister in real quick. Listen to the exotic animals. They're not your friends. They don't want to be friends with you. Stop feeding the bears. They don't want to be friends with you. Just walk away. Get in your car.
But then it brings us back to think about who lives in Vegas and very famously owns a tiger. Mike Tyson.
That's true.
So
Mike's different though.
I think maybe it's just like the West Coast. Like maybe that's just where it all is.
I guess, but I just feel like we need to listen to the animals, and I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I support it.
I had a proud dad moment in the doctor's office Monday.
Oh, nice.
So I took my son to the doctor, and the doctor's making small talk with him, asking him and she goes, "What's your favorite sport?" And he goes, "Oh, I like basketball." He's 5, by the way. And she goes, "Oh, who's your favorite player?" Without hesitation, Michael Jordan. Without hesitation. Now, I see you looking at me, so I'm going to be honest. Yes, there's been some brainwashing and subliminal messaging. Absolutely. I was just proud he said it off. Just no hesitation, Michael Jordan.
All right, I'm going to.
I shed a single tear.
I would have hit him with the same thing I hit the 24 and under crowd in the Cowboys. When did you see him play? When did you get to watch Super Bowl with your own eyes?
Yesterday. It was taped. We run tape.
We
have Jordan Hour in our house where we sit down and we run tape.
When did he sit down for a 7:05 tip off and get to watch it?
That's not fair. So listen, last week on Sunday,
is there any Jordan jerseys in the closet?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. He doesn't have it yet.
That's what I'm saying for him.
Not yet for him, but yeah, we'll be getting that for him though. But so Game 6.
Game 6.
Sunday. We didn't get to Game 7. Game 6. Listen, I'm not going to say it went according to plan like I thought, but I was worried about the Heat running out of gas, the way it looked after Game 5. And it kind of came to fruition. It was just a runaway train.
Yeah.
And
that game was over by halftime.
Yeah. I mean, before that, they were up by 25 in like this early second quarter. I mean, it was a runaway train. I mean, everything the Lakers do well, they did well. And the Heat just were a team that just the wheels just fell off. It kind of reminded me of what happened, for those you remember, 2001 Sixers, when with all the injuries and everything with them, things just went downhill quickly in that series with the Lakers 19 years ago. Oh, God, 19 years ago. Wow. But with this one, though, like I said, I really firmly believe that if the Heat was healthy, I believe the Heat would have beat them. I don't know if I'd go that far. I don't want to be. I know you were on the Lakers side of things, but I thought the Heat had all the ingredients to beat them. The Heat reminded me a lot of the 2004 Pistons.
Do you remember which game Bam and Dragic got hurt in?
Yes, Game 1.
Oh, it was Game 1?
It was Game 1.
Okay.
It was like first half Game 1 too, if I'm not mistaken. It was very early on. So you lost that, which was huge. Goran Dragic was a bubble machine. He was averaging about 20 points a game, 5-6 assists. And Bam Adebayo even though he came back, he wasn't himself all series either. He couldn't do a lot of things that helps him out and makes him go.
I wonder if Jimmy Butler has those crazy moments if Bam and Dragic are there the whole time. And I'm not saying that he's still not the number one guy.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to shoulder the entire load if those two are there.
Absolutely,
so we might not have Superman Jimmy Butler.
But the thing is, you wouldn't need Superman Jimmy Butler. That's the thing is he had to do.
But Superman Jimmy Butler had to come out to beat the Lakers. Like you're relying on Bubble Dragic and Bubble Bam to be better than Superman Jimmy, and I'm not sure that they are. So I'm not sure that it would have been better for the Heat.
See, I disagree. And the reason why I disagree is because the thing the Heat do really well is they play great team basketball. Jimmy Butler, as great as he was, he burnt himself out. And I feel like if it was a more balanced attack and they were more balanced, he would have had more in Game 6. He didn't. He was a shot fighter. He had nothing left in Game 6, and I don't blame him because everything he had to do to will that team to get past Game 5. Because what happened with them really was they became one dimensional, which they weren't. And Jay Crowder actually had kind of a disappointing series. He missed a lot of open shots, which would hurt them also. But they weren't the same. Duncan Robinson's a different player with Bam, without Bam.
But I'm saying like Duncan Robinson, Kelly Olynyk. Tyler Hero is probably going to see minutes regardless.
Yeah. But
those guys all saw more minutes because of those injuries, and those guys played came up big in big moments.
I would agree.
So I'm not saying that it normally. Obviously, if a team has their better players, then they're going to have a better chance. That goes without saying.
Absolutely.
But I'm not sure how much better the Heat would have. So you telling me that that it definitely would have gone at least 7 games had those two played?
Yes.
Because I can't say that.
Yes, I can. I definitely believe it would win 7. I do.
I still think it would.
They went 6
but I'm
without
saying,
those guys being healthy.
I think it would have ended in 6 regardless, with or without them.
Okay. I mean, listen, obviously we'll never know, but I've watched the Heat a lot this year, and I was very disappointed for them.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. At any point in any game, the Heat never ran the Lakers off the floor.
No,
as far as the final score went.
No, they had runs where they.
I'm saying they didn't win 15, 20, 25 point wins, but halftime leads by 50.
They never do. That's not how they win. They're grinded out.
But you're saying that if they would have had those two, their team would have been that much better, and therefore they should have run the Lakers off the court in at least one game.
No. I don't know, because who have the Heat blown out at all? Period in the playoffs. Like if you look at all of their games,
I think one Boston game.
Yeah, maybe. Like they're not that type of team. They're not going to blow anybody out. With the Heat's calling card, which I've always said about the Miami Heat, especially this year, they play hard bell to bell. They don't play the score. They play the clock. They don't care what the score is. They play hard bell to bell, and that's why they're difficult for a lot of teams, because the NBA is a league of runs. It's a league of score. It's a league of, you have a team down by 15 late third quarter. Most teams are mailing it in. Most teams are out. But the Heat keep coming at you. And that's how, like, even that game, I'll go back to when they played the Bucks, game 3. They were the Bucks, and the Bucks should have, won that game. They were up, 15 in the fourth quarter, early fourth quarter. It was no reason. It looked like it was a short thing. All of a sudden, the Heat come back. They tie the game. They end up winning the game and closing out the series in 5 games. That was a huge moment for them. But that's the calling card and kind of a microcosm of what they do. They play hard continuously. But listen, I want to get into the main event and real reason why we're here.
Well,
and the real reason why.
Real quick on that point, I think the Heat made it to this point prematurely. I think that they were a year or two away from making it to the Eastern Conference
so was
Finals.
Boston. I think both Boston and Miami were a year ahead.
So
Milwaukee should have been here.
Yeah, I don't think that we can expect this year after year for Miami yet for another year or two until they bring in somebody else. A free agent somebody else. So.
Listen, Jimmy Butler's 31 years old. Also, you gotta keep that in mind.
Yes.
Like he's not older player, but he's not a spring chicken either. So I definitely feel like they need to. They're definitely obviously win now mode. So they need to strike now.
I think that they were looking at their window as like 2022 to like 2024, and they just hit it a little too early.
Yeah,
didn't Butler sign a 5-6 year deal to go there?
I think 5
years. So. He's there for, that would be the end of that window.
Right.
So I just think they got here a little prematurely.
I would say Butler probably has 3 to 4 good peak years left. I think 30.
That would be the way
he plays. I think 35 is about what you're gonna get him of max potential of peak Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
But
the main event here. The big discussion.
LeBron James, as always. Every time LeBron does anything, especially wins a championship, you gotta have the legacy conversation. And I've been thinking a lot this past year about LeBron and my feelings and standings on him. And I know I can say this and about myself is I feel like I have been unfair to him throughout his career. And the reason why I say that is because LeBron is a guy that he's so good. He doesn't get compared to his peers, which is unfair. And he's brought this up too, and something like I thought about after hearing him say this is, I'm sorry, his camp released that he said this. It wasn't directly him, but his camp has confirmed that he thinks this way. Is that why is he always compared to legends and not his actual peers? When other guys still playing are compared to their peers. And I think that's something I struggle with. When I talk about LeBron James, I don't talk about him with Kawhi Leonard or Kevin Durant. I'm talking about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Michael Jordan, Oscar Robinson and Jerry West and the legacy people. And it kind of doing that has kind of tainted the way I've looked at him throughout the careers instead of just kind of appreciating what I've seen. Now, there are still things about LeBron that bugs me as far as the way people look at him. I think people skew him in the wrong direction of who he should be compared to. That being said, I can recognize that LeBron is the best basketball player in the world and one of the greatest I've ever seen. But that doesn't mean I think he's the greatest, but he definitely is one of the greatest I've ever seen. The things that he's capable of doing, the things he can do. It is again, this is one of those things. It's a double-edged sword where it is impressive that 4 championships on 3 different teams is impressive, but at the same time, there is still that. Okay, you've played with a lot of really good players and all of that stuff that we could bring up and stuff like that, but I do want to take a second before we get into this just to say that I know I can recognize in myself that I have been unfair with his legacy.
All right, so
is that growth right there for me?
It is. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. I'm impressed myself if I said that.
So
and people who know me probably have fell out of their chairs.
Yes. So where I sit on this debate. I think that LeBron is the greatest basketball player ever, followed number 2 by Jordan. Okay. Now, the one thing that when you have the LeBron-Jordan debate, there's one thing you'll never, ever be able to argue against, and that's the 6-0. That's just an argument you're not going to be able to win when having the LeBron versus Jordan debate. So my question for you is, without using the 6-0 versus, what is it, 4-6? Is that
4-6?
4-6. Without using the 6-0 and the 4-6 debate, what makes Jordan better than LeBron?
Basically every statistical category.
I disagree. If you look at LeBron, he has already, and if he hasn't, then he will surpass all of Jordan's career statistics.
Well, he's played way more years than Jordan did. Jordan's. Well, listen. Years.
Hold on.
No, you hold on.
Hold on.
Jordan's years.
LeBron didn't take a 2-year suspension. I mean, retirement.
Oh yeah, retirement. Okay. That has been confirmed by the Last Dance. That was a retirement, and not just to mention that
propaganda.
There was never a time in Jordan's prime that he was not dominant. And there's and the thing is, where I always come back to is, I don't want to turn this into a Jordan LeBron thing, because I just don't think that, I just don't think the conversation holds weight. And one of the bigger reasons for that is that looking at the conferences, I think LeBron going to 9 straight finals is one of the most overrated stats out there. And it's when it comes to him, because of how bad the Eastern Conference was during that period. The Eastern Conference from the years of 2010 to 2016-17 was not a good conference. It wasn't good at all. And a lot of LeBron benefited off the fact that he didn't have to face who was LeBron's rival? What team LeBron rival? And I don't want to hear he was just so great he didn't have any rivals. That's not true. Every team has rivals.
When I think of LeBron's rival, individual player, you know who I think of?
Who?
Paul Pierce.
I mean, they had battles. They battled.
I mean, think LeBron didn't play against Kobe enough head to head.
No, not at all.
To be considered a rival.
Not at all.
LeBron, when I think of LeBron's rival on the court, 1-on-1, player to player, Durant, he was in the West. They just didn't play it. Durant, that didn't really happen until he joined Golden State, and they went head to head in the finals so many times.
Right.
So I always looked at it as Paul Pierce and LeBron. That is LeBron's
of them dueling. Yeah, because
yes.
The Celtics were on their way out, and they were on the decline when LeBron was on the ascent. But if you're going to say they kind of were, that was kind of the passing the torch. But again, they were on the descent. Now, the team that it should have been it should have been the Chicago Bulls. Derrick Rose
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Right. But Derrick Rose, the MVP year, tears ACL, and it changes the course of everything. Because that was a team that I really feel would have challenged them and really held them up to a standard. But again, like I said, that stats, like I said, is overrated because of the state of the Eastern Conference during those years. It wasn't a good conference. And, you know, I feel like looking at it,
I mean, you still have to beat the team in front of you. Like,
absolutely.
Do you hold that? And we're going to switch sports for a second.
Mm-hmm.
Do you hold that same criteria against Brady because he plays in the AFC East and they're guaranteed to home division playoff game every year?
No, because I mean, it's harder to compare because football doesn't have as many games.
But that's what I'm saying. Just for division, I'm not talking conference.
Yeah, I hear it's a good point.
I mean, like he's guaranteed to go.
But Brady had, I think, better rivals in the conference than LeBron has had in the conference division. There's been no major challenge like those Raptors teams. Like, you know, like I mean, it was just nothing there for him. I mean, there was when he got to the finals. Yeah, there was some great teams in the finals, but getting to that point, if you have kind of a free pass to get there, I don't see how it counts as much or as
if you're going to use that. If you use that criteria to fault him, then you have to also hold it against Brady, knowing that he's going to go 5-1 in his division every year.
Right, but he still has to go to the playoffs and face his conference against good teams.
Except if Peyton Manning runs into the San Diego Chargers.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think that is some flawed criteria that you're going to try to use, because if you're like, so then let me use some other criteria that people use against LeBron. You say, oh, he played with great players. What was Scottie Pippen?
That's one player. LeBron played against great players.
Well, no, I'm saying my argument's not done.
Okay.
But what is Scottie Pippen?
He's an all-star. Top 50 player of all time.
Was he not a great player?
He was.
Okay. Now, granted, older in his career, but let's not act like Dennis Rodman was nothing.
Right.
Okay? So everybody acts like Jordan pulled a 2019 Carson Wentz and dragged a practice squad to 6 rings. Nobody ever brings up the fact that when he was retired for those 2 years, Bulls still made the playoffs where they won 51 games, was it?
They made the playoffs, but they didn't win a championship.
No. But I'm saying they were still a good team without him. Now, you take away the best player in the league.
Right.
Obviously, a team's going to fall apart. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But take LeBron off the Lakers, and what are they? They're not. They're
with Anthony Davis. They still make the playoffs. They're a playoff team
in the Western Conference, though.
Yes, they're a playoff team.
Without LeBron,
they're not gonna go far in the playoff. But they're a playoff team.
I don't know about that. I strongly disagree with that. I think they're a 30-win team without LeBron.
I don't agree with that. I think that's. I don't think they're a 30-win team. I mean, they'll make the playoffs. It's maybe an 8 seed, but they'll make the playoffs.
And just to real quick put a bow on it, because I know we're getting ready to hit a break soon.
We're going to take you to the other side of the break, though. We're not done with this.
Okay, so, well, just to start, wrapping up what I was saying in conclusion, I don't, and you had mentioned it, that we didn't want to turn it into a LeBron Jordan debate.
Which we did.
Yeah, I know. But I don't feel like that's the person that you need to be comparing LeBron to anyway.
I 1,000% agree.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that.
Because Jordan's legacy is a legacy of winning and dominance. Win at all costs.
Correct.
LeBron's almost like a mythical figure, like a unicorn for his legacy. Like, when you hear about him in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, you're not going to believe what you read about him. Just like you understand that it was a real thing that Wilt scored 100 points in a game, but it's almost like, yeah, unless you saw it, you don't believe it. And I feel like that's going to be the same way that you look at. You're going to be like, LeBron averaged, I don't know, 31, 9, and 9 in his 17th season. That didn't happen.
Right.
So I think that he needs to be. He's compared to the wrong legends. And I don't think
I agree, but I use that logic, and I just, that's why Jordan is just, to me, his career is untouchable in the sense, like you said, his dominance over the league. There was never a time that Jordan was in the league that anyone ever thought that he was not the best player in the league. And, you know, we need to take a break. Before I go off on a tangent, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're definitely going to continue this conversation. I got a lot more to say. It's Bradham and Emery in the morning. Marcus Bradham, Justin Emery, 9:20 a.m. ESPN.
And guys, I want to tell you about my friends at Conshohocken Italian Bakery. Conchi Bakery is your one-stop shop for the best breads, rolls, desserts, and my absolute favorite, their world-famous tomato pies. Located at 79 Jones Street, Conshohocken, PA. Stop by or call them at 610-825-9334 to order ahead. Check them out online at conchibakery.com. Voted the best bakery by Best Affiliate Hot List 5 straight years. Again, conchibakery.com. Make sure to tell them that Justin sent you.
You make me hungry.
Listen.
I'm getting hungry. Might have to stop, do a detour and get a tea pie on the way home.
Listen, every time I go there, I buy extra because I want to.
That's my philosophy at every food place.
Every time I always go because I know that I'm going to eat whatever I intended to in the car.
Yeah.
So I need something else to eat when I get back home.
Right.
So every time I go, I recommend just whatever you were going to get, just get double because it's not going to make it home if you start eating it.
There you go. So, as I was saying before we took a break, the amount of Hall of Famers that do not have rings because of Michael Jeffrey Jordan is a list, and I'm just gonna give you a couple names that don't have rings because of Michael Jordan: Karl Malone, John Stockton, Charles Barkley, Reggie Miller, Gary Payton. The list goes on of guys who don't have rings because they played in the Jordan era. Nobody ate in the Jordan era but Jordan. That's it. He was the only one eating. And you look at this era, you fast forward here.
Well, can you give me a specific range of what you consider the Jordan era?
When he went to his first final.
His first
final to 98. I would say
to his last final.
Yes. I would count that as a stretch.
The 8-year span.
That 8-year span, nobody ate. When Jordan got to the table of a championship, nobody else ate. That was it. And that's kind of, my
So what are we going to do in regards to the first 7 years of his career prior to that? Do we just disregard it?
No, it's just like it's the climb. I'll give LeBron his climb. I don't count my criteria. LeBron is when you get out the first final. He got this first final in 2007. That's when the clock starts. I don't look at those years of the climb for that because every great superstar, and it doesn't matter how great you are, you're gonna have that time where you have to go up the hill, and you have to get to that spot. So the clock does not start until you get to that first championship. That's when I start looking and saying, okay, you're at the table now, the plate's in front of you, how are you going to eat?
So then would you go, going off of that same criteria, are you going to say that the LeBron era is much longer then?
It's longer, yeah, absolutely. It's long. It was so his era right now is 13 years.
So yours, all right. I just wanted to make sure
13 years. But remember, but here's the thing: is that we all know watching The Last Dance, Jordan didn't break up that team. Management did. They would have came back.
Nobody ever thought that Jordan broke the team up.
They would have came. But my point of that is that we can't just sit there and say, oh, LeBron's dominance was longer because Jordan walked away. Jordan walked away because they wouldn't bring back that team. All the turmoil in that team and everything that was going on in 98, they didn't come back because of that. They didn't want Jerry Krause didn't want Phil Jackson back. He wanted to rebuild, and management supported that. So they come back in 99, and they come back in, I think they win again in 99, and then 2000, everything's skewed now because Phil Jackson, if they stay together, Phil Jackson's not coaching the Lakers anymore. He's still coaching the Bulls. So Lakers may not even have happened if Phil Jackson's still with the Bulls. So a lot of things were skewed based on that 98. So Jordan's whole dominance, it could have went a couple more years into the early 2000s. We won't know that. But my point is that's how I look at it when it comes to LeBron. But I want to focus singularly on him now. I want to focus on LeBron now.
Okay. Before
I want to focus on LeBron now.
I don't know. We can focus on LeBron. We can focus on LeBron.
God.
You're making a starting five.
Okay.
Other than your number 5, your center, the other 4 can be positionless.
Yeah.
LeBron's making your starting 5 now.
Facts.
Okay.
I think, and listen, LeBron has said it himself, and I think Last Dance was good for him too to see where he should be thinking of himself as, because he said it himself. I would have been a great teammate to play with Jordan.
Oh, absolutely.
Why does he think that? Because LeBron James, in his essence, is super shredder Scottie Pippen. He's Scottie Pippen as a super version. That's what he is. That's his game. That's his strengths. So him and Jordan would have been ridiculous. It would have been ridiculous. So that's where I see him more. LeBron to me is the people I compare LeBron to are guys like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. Those are the guys I see him as. That's who I see his peer group is. That's who he is to me. Jordan LeBron comparisons make absolutely no sense for a litany of reasons. But again, let's focus on LeBron.
Something we'll do for tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're going to come in with our all-time starting 5s.
I'm in.
We'll have that prepped and ready to go for 9 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Got it. So
you said you want to shift this to LeBron.
I want to shift this to LeBron and now we're at ring 4. And not just that, this whole year, I don't think it's fair. A lot of people have been calling this an asterisk. I don't think that's fair because while it was not what we're accustomed to, this was difficult for different reasons.
Yes.
And this was more of a mental hurdle because you had guys, admittedly, Paul George, one of them, who could not handle this. And he did not play well at all in the bubble. And a lot of it had to do with his mental of what was going on and the things he was thinking about, whether it be, the social justice issues that were going on, whether it be his own personal issues that was going on, and just the idea of the isolation of the bubble. And there were plenty of people that couldn't hack that. Now, I believe LeBron was built for the bubble.
Yes.
The way he thinks, the way he is,
how
singular focused he is, I think he was built to play in the bubble.
I heard him do a press conference where he said, I don't know how many days I've been here, 30 days, 60 days, 300 days, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
When you're ready to win a championship, you're ready to win a championship. I heard that, and I said, that is the mind of someone who, it doesn't matter if he's in the bubble for 2 years,
right,
and he comes out with a championship, it doesn't matter. Right.
And you had a lot of guys that were in here that, like I said, that couldn't hack it. And, you had guys like, the Jimmy Butlers of the world. If you had it's one of those things where if you had a great team leader that could handle this, it helped everybody. Like the Sixers, for instance, keep it local, their mental makeup was not built for the bubble.
No, not at all.
That was not at all. The make up that team, the way they think, they're not. And you go to their leader, that has a lot to do with the reason why they weren't built for the bubble.
Do you think Jordan would have succeeded in the bubble?
This is a tough question. Because, listen, we all know Michael Jordan and the vices. When it came to playing basketball, and they talk about this, I don't know if you've seen the Dream Team documentary.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, how he would go play cards, golf, stay up all night, and then go drop 30. So, and he would, stay up drinking, playing cards, and everyone wants to go to bed. Like, yo, Mike, we got a game tomorrow. And he's like, no, what are you guys doing? We got to play cards. We got to do this, do that. So, I'm going to say, yeah, I guess yes. But, it shouldn't make sense because of the way he was off the court. But he was just built differently that way. Where all that stuff didn't matter. When it came time to play basketball, he was always ready to play basketball. Jordan never had, a hangover game. You know what I mean? Where he was just didn't show up. Even the infamous flu game, he still showed up. He dropped 38. With the wherever you want to believe, whether it's food poisoning, a pizza hangover, wherever you want to believe, he still showed up. So
that
he would have played
drank
well.
all of the tequila in Vegas that night.
Yeah, yeah. There was definitely a road trip.
Listen,
that's what
they were playing Utah.
Yeah.
So if you're Michael Jordan, that's a 4 to 5 hour ride to Vegas.
I respect this. I respect the fact that, the pizza story, this is my favorite part of that story, for those of you that don't know. That the fact that he was hungry earlier, and he was so hungry he want to share, and he literally spit on every slice so no one could eat it. that is dedication of spite. I appreciate that. But I guess he would have done well in that environment, but because he was also, like, Jeff Van Gundy called him a con man, like, because Jordan was friendly with everybody. Everybody liked him. Everyone wanted to hang out with him, wanted to be around him, and maybe he used that to his advantage. Maybe he didn't, but he would, like, off the court, we're hanging out. Yeah, we'll go do this, we'll do that. On the court, I'm gonna assassinate you, but off the court, we'll hang out. So I'm sure, like, he would have been, playing cards, drinking, hanging out, got the cigar off the balcony, all that stuff, but still going on the short court and being the assassin that he is. But when it comes to LeBron, I'm not going to do the 3.5 rings thing. I'm not going to do that. I think this was a well-earned, well-deserved victory. I couldn't imagine being away from my family for 90 days and having to focus on doing my job and all of these other things going on, the things these guys dealt with in this bubble, a pandemic outside of it, my family okay, all that stuff. So all those things considered, I believe this ring, I'm not gonna say it counts for more, but it's definitely, it's a different feel to it, but it definitely holds the same weight to me.
I agree 100%. I at no point in time put an asterisk on it at all. The only thing that I consider putting an asterisk on is the baseball season, and I'm against baseball for a bunch of other reasons that we can't even get into right now, because I'm just fed up with that whole sport. But a 60-game season with 7-inning doubleheaders, all that kind of stuff, I definitely think that you have a better case for an asterisk in baseball than you do for basketball or hockey.
All right, so I think I've been good this episode in righting some wrongs with my LeBron issues. I think I've been fair.
Yes.
So I have something I'm gonna run by you. I'm sure you're gonna disagree, but here we go. I am making a statement right now that this will be LeBron's last ring, and this will also be his last appearance in the NBA Finals. I think this is it. The reason why I say that is because I look at the Western Conference, and I don't see how he gets out of this conference again. I think the reason why LeBron was so adamant about playing in this bubble, but I think he even recognizes that he's on borrowed time when it comes to his finals run. You look at the West and what's going on out there. That conference will be a juggernaut next year. I looked at teams in the bubble. Teams like, I'll mention a team like Denver Nuggets, who we watched come of age right before our eyes. We going into the bubble, Jokic was the only superstar they had. They now have Jamal Murray as a superstar. Also, Michael Porter Jr. in the next year or two will be a superstar. The Jeremy Grant is going to be a player for them. They're a really good team that I can see going far. Then you have the Clippers coming back, angry, out of the bubble, with something to prove. You have Dallas, honestly, if Porzingis doesn't get suspended in Game 1 and doesn't get hurt for the rest of the series, they might have beaten the Clippers in round 1. And not forget the Warriors, who everyone has kind of forgotten about, are coming back fully loaded and healthy. They got a top 5 pick. Steph and Clay are back, and Draymond. Wiggins, who I think Wiggins is they're gonna teach that kid how to win finally and how to be productive. And I know I'm probably forgetting one or two teams, but
who knows what's going to happen with Houston?
Right.
Who knows what's going to happen with OKC?
Yep. Yeah, it's a loaded conference, and I just don't see how he gets out of this conference again. And with the Lakers, we don't know. We're assuming Anthony Davis is going to stay. I think everyone's kind of assuming
I think he's going to stay.
Rajon Rondo's already opted out. And KCP, I think they already have. He's under contract, I think, for another year. But that being said, they're kind of in flux of what they're going to look like. You've heard the rumors, I'm sure, of the Chris Paul trade. Them trying to get Paul out there, which I don't like personally, because as talented as Chris Paul is, Chris Paul never finishes.
Yeah,
he never finishes. He's an injury-prone guy.
I mean, if I'm the Lakers, though, I'm trading Kyle Kuzma for a Shake Shack gift card.
I agree. Well, that's the ultimate problem with him, is that in a perfect world, Kyle Kuzma should be your 3.
Yes,
that should be it should be Bron, Davis, Kuzma. But Kyle Kuzma is so inconsistent. You can't rely on him game to game. You can't rely on him minute to minute. He's that guy that will go out and do something incredible, and then the next minute do something boneheaded the very next minute.
Like, you don't know if he's going to get 30 points on 18 shots,
right,
or 18 points on 30 shots.
Exactly, and that's a problem. So this was a perfect storm for that team in particular. They needed this season to continue because, like I said, it doesn't look good for them. And I personally believe this will be the last time you see LeBron James in the finals.
I don't think it'll be the last time you see him in the finals, just because it's the Lakers. You never know who might go to the Lakers, who might play for them, all that. But I do think I have to agree with you that I think it will be his last ring. I'm not sure he will be a champion again, but I do think that he will make it there again, just because, like I said, it's the Lakers. The Lakers are not... Like, this has got to be one of the longest stretches since they've been in the finals in their franchise history.
Yes, correct.
So you just you can't count them out.
Right.
Now, one thing, I know we're going to get ready to wrap up and get into our Bubble City talk, but you know who one player that would absolutely have thrived and excelled in the bubble? The late Kobe Bryant.
Oh my gosh. Bubble Bryant would have been phenomenal.
The world was not ready for Bubble Kobe.
Here's what we need. Here's what, and we've talked about this off air, but here's the scenario right now. Lou Williams is on the Lakers. Let's put him on the Lakers.
Okay.
Lou Williams goes to Magic City and goes to get lemon pepper wings. Sneaks. Kobe literally would be at his door waiting for him when he came home. Like, what's in the bag, Lou?
You left for wings?
That's how you feel, Lou? Wings?
Wings.
Kobe would not have even turned his television on in the room. He would have stared at the wall the whole time. And just either if he's watching film or staring at a wall. He wouldn't have talked to anyone. He would not have talked to anyone. He barely would talk to his own teammates.
Yeah, he had no time for them.
No. But like the other people, like Kobe walking around like in his slides, like going to get breakfast. Here's what Kobe's going to do. He's going to go get his breakfast and just go right back to his room.
And here's the thing.
Not speaking to anybody.
He's getting his breakfast 3 hours before they open.
Yep.
Like, they're special making it for him 3 hours ahead of time so he doesn't have to be there with the rest of you in line getting food.
Bubble Bryant would have been phenomenal. But, so yeah. We would
average 40 a game.
Absolutely. In that environment, absolutely. So, I want to have some fun with the bubble before we wrap up the bubble, because this is something probably we'll never see again.
Probably not.
Though
I hope we do.
I hope we do, but it's something we'll probably never see again. But when the NBA comes back, I'm sure it'll be, in the arenas again, and we won't have to talk about the bubble. So, for those of you who don't know, in the bubble, there was a hotline. A hotline you could call if you thought someone was doing something they shouldn't be doing. It was a bubble snitch line, per se. You could call this line and report activities that were taking place that should not be taking place in the bubble. So Justin and I want to have some fun right now. Bubble snitches. Justin and I want to have some fun right now. We compiled a list of the top 5 bubble snitchers in the bubble. Now, we have 2 lists here. One list will consist of people who were snitching in the bubble and people who were getting snitched on in the bubble.
Yes.
So let's start with the snitch list. I'll go first with the snitch list. I'll let you go, and then you'll start the second list.
Okay.
All right. So my first bubble snitcher, someone calling out hotline every day, Kelly Olynyk. I mean, I don't trust the man with a ponytail.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Kelly Olynyk is definitely calling the bubble and snitching. Number 2, Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Chris Paul's a rat. You could just tell he has rat tendencies.
Yes.
I mean, listen, he's notoriously already known for ratting in other purposes also.
Yes.
Number 3, Mason Plumley.
Okay.
Look at his face.
Yes.
He's telling. He
I'm not
wants
a fan
no
of him at all.
issues. He wants no issues. He wants no problem at all.
I'm not a fan of that guy at all.
Now, my 4th one's a little random. I just don't like the way he looks. Chris Middleton.
Yeah.
I think it's that hairline that upsets me.
That's fair. That's fair.
Number 5. This guy is definitely this is okay. This list is no particular order, but this is my number 1.
Okay.
Alex Caruso. He's snitching. He's telling. That headband, he's telling. That's a tell headband.
That is. I like that.
So that's
list.
my list. That's my list of people who have called that hotline repeatedly.
Okay. Now, for mine, I only did the top 3 because I felt there was a clear distinction between 3 and 4.
Okay.
So I only went with the top 3. And now these are in order. Okay.
All right.
Number 3, Al Horford.
Yeah, Dad. Oh my God, did I not get? That's a great one. Dad is definitely.
He's complaining the whole time.
Al Horford's like literally wearing like the Bill Cosby pajamas. Like you see the silk outfit, and like someone like has the radio up too loud. And he's like, oh, what is going on? It's 9:30 at night.
Yes.
Turn that music down.
He's definitely was snitching.
Yeah, Al Horford snitching. I agree.
Okay, number 2, Kyle Lowry.
Ooh, really?
Yes.
North Philly's own Kyle Lowry?
Yes.
Tattailing?
He's out there snitching on everyone.
Wow, okay. All right.
Everyone. And then number 1, because I firmly believe he's the only one who snitched on himself, Jimmy Butler.
JB?
Yeah, did you hear the story, right? That came out?
I don't know the story.
Oh, so there was a story. Someone called 2 a.m. call to security because they kept hearing this banging noise in one of the hotel rooms.
Uh-huh.
And they go up, and it's Jimmy Butler just sitting, dribbling a basketball in his room on the floor.
You know who made that phone call?
Jimmy
Dad.
Butler. I think Jimmy Butler called in so that it would get leaked to the press. Jimmy Butler's dribbling the basketball at 2 o'clock in the morning in his room. So I'm firmly.
It's either him or Al Horford.
Yeah. Either way, the 2 guys on my list.
Yeah, Al Horford, I think, is my favorite name of this whole list. I literally can see that taking place.
Oh, I saw it in my head. Like when we were coming.
That was a great call,
and that's why I felt like there was a very distinct fall off between those 3 and the next person.
Yes. Okay. So now we're gonna
getting snitched
now
on
people
list.
that are getting snitched on list. You can start this one off.
Okay. Well, let's go back and forth for this one because I think.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to start with number 3, Dwight Howard. I feel like Dwight Howard is getting snitched on a lot because number 1, he's a strange guy to start off with.
He is an odd man.
Number 2,
he's a weirdo.
He's a known to be against wearing masks and all of that. He's well on the record against all of that.
I don't doubt it.
And number 3, I mean, he's a 7 foot tall walking tattoo.
True.
Like, you can mistake him for being a lot of things.
Right.
And being like, somebody's out here doing something. I don't know. It's a 7 foot tall walking tattoo without a mask.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening, but I don't think he's supposed to be here.
No, it's Dwight Howard. Yeah. Oh, it's Dwight Howard.
It's just the white guys. So I'm going to start in LA too then with the Lakers. Kyle Kuzma.
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma looks like an alternative school kid. Like he looks like a kid that did not go to proper high school. He definitely went to an alternative school. Like there's no question he graduated from a high school. He went to an alternative school. There's no question. Look at him. He looks like a ruffian. like look. I look at Kyle Kuzma and I see a kid that was in detention constantly, doing something he shouldn't be doing.
Oh, that was
Kyle Kuzma does not follow the rules.
Oh, that one was great.
All right, you're up.
All right. Second one is Dame Lillard.
Yeah, Dame doesn't listen to anybody.
You're
not telling Dame anything. Dame has a studio in his room.
Yes,
and recording music at 3 a.m.
He's in there. He's in there writing diss tracks about Patrick Beverly, and I'm gonna get them. I heard what Shaq said on the post game.
Yep. Yep.
So I'm going with Dame. Nobody's telling Dame anything.
No one's telling Damian Way. My next one, Furkan Korkmaz. I don't trust that goatee. He's up to no good. Furkan's definitely up to no good. He's one of those guys that like was in school with you that like never got in trouble, was always doing shady things.
Yes.
Like all the time, he was doing things like he was running like an underground like Sour Patch Kids ring in the bathroom in like 3rd grade.
I'm still laughing about Kyle Kuzma. Like that is the perfect one. Like you said, Al Horford was the perfect pick for this.
Yeah.
That is the perfect.
Kyle Kuzma.
Al Horford. How many times do you think he snitched on Kuzma in the bubble?
Probably every day. It probably was like a Zac Efron. What was that movie with Zac Efron and Seth Rogen? Was it Neighbors?
Neighbors, yeah.
He probably lives next door to him. They probably had to share a wall. All right, so are you up?
I said who I forget who I had said so far.
You had. Oh man, I forget. Too.
This snitched on.
Yeah.
I forget.
So listen, I'm gonna get in it with this one then.
Yeah, and end it with that one. I know I have at least one more.
I have a 2-in-1 deal.
Okay.
The Morris twins, both of them. The Morris twins. The Morris twins. If you are beating up,
I'm sorry. I said Dame.
Yeah, Dame. That's
Dame
right.
and Dwight Howard.
If you were allegedly beating up the entire Kansas football team, just two of you, you definitely are doing things in the bubble you probably shouldn't be doing.
I've heard a story.
And Marcus was doing things on the court that he shouldn't be doing. So he's definitely doing things off the court he shouldn't be doing.
I heard a story years ago one time about the Morris twins. I believe it was Lehigh Avenue down in the city.
Yeah.
At like 4 a.m, just driving Phantoms up and down Lehigh Avenue.
That does not surprise me.
No.
That's not surprising. The Morris twins definitely. But the thing is, you got to be careful with them because they'll come to your room and ask you if you snitched on them. They're coming to your room.
Yes, they definitely are.
Like Al Horford's definitely hiding at the cover if you snitched on the Morris twins.
Yes. And then that brings me to my number one most snitched on person.
Okay.
Boban. Bobby.
Not Bobby.
Because you know
who's telling on Bobby?
I mean, it's not. I don't know who's telling on him, but I can tell you that he's definitely going to be snitched on. I mean, he's a 7'4" class clown with a YouTube channel. You think that he's not doing something in the bubble?
He's probably doing something in the bubble.
You know, and he's got a partner in crime too, with Tobias Harris
and Luka.
And yeah,
Luka and Bobby are like best friends. There was a whole controversy because like Luka and Bobby became close. Toby didn't like that too much. It was a lot. It was a lot.
So that's my list. I'm giving you Dwight Howard.
That's a good list.
I'm giving you Dame, and I'm giving you Boban. You can't trust the big men in the bubble.
I think both these lists are both solid. So listen, we're gonna get ready to get out of here. But if you want to drop a bubble snitch to us, hit us up on Twitter at BE Mornings ESPN.
Yes,
and let us know who you think should be snitched or snitched on in the bubble. But listen, it's been fun. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here. We will talk to you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. We're getting to those Philadelphia Eagles and the rest of the NFL. And until then, it's been great. Late.
See ya.